Chapter 1, Shock of Betrayal. The night was supposed to be ours. 4 years married, 10 years since we first met in that summer camp where everything felt endless and innocent. I had spent the afternoon carefully planning a surprise anniversary party at our apartment, friends, music, her favorite wine. Everything is perfect, or so I thought. But perfection shattered the moment I walked through the door. The low hum of conversation stopped abruptly. I caught the sudden shift in the air, a tension I didn't expect, didn't want to feel here, in our home. And then I saw her. My wife, Emma, is standing too close to him. The man I never thought I'd see again, her first love, Mark. They were laughing, a little too freely, and then, like a cruel twist scripted just to break me, she leaned in and kissed him. Not a hesitant brush, but a full, lingering kiss. My heart twisted, skipping beats, like a scratched record stuck on the worst part of the song. The room blurred around me. The noise faded. All I heard was the silence where our vows used to live. I stood frozen, the wine glass trembling in my hand. The smell of celebration turned sour. How could she do this, on our anniversary? I wanted to scream, to break something, to disappear. But instead, I just turned and left. The door slammed behind me, echoing like a verdict. Walking into the cold night, I tried to make sense of it. Was this a mistake? A moment of weakness? Or was everything we built a lie? The memory of our early days, those endless talks, the promises whispered under the stars, hit me harder than any betrayal. I loved her. I still do, maybe too much. But love wasn't enough anymore. I didn't know then that this night would mark the end of us, the start of a journey I never asked for, but needed, to find myself again. The city lights blurred through my tears, and I realized, I had lost not just my wife, but the life I thought we'd share forever. And somehow, that was only the beginning. Chapter 2. Reflecting on the past. I sit alone in the quiet living room, the dim light casting long shadows across the walls that once held the echoes of laughter, whispered dreams, and promises made in the reckless innocence of youth. The anniversary cake still sits half-eaten on the table, its frosting smeared like the remnants of a celebration that never truly was. How did it come to this? I keep asking myself. The woman who swore she loved me, the girl I grew up with, the one who knew every scar and secret, kissed another man on the very day we were supposed to celebrate. Not just any man, but her first love, the ghost from her past I thought was long laid to rest. I close my eyes, and the memories flood in, clearer than the sting in my chest. We were kids then, reckless and bright-eyed, the world stretching out endlessly before us. I remember the first time we held hands under that old oak tree by the park, the way her fingers fit so perfectly with mine, like they were made to be there. I remember the late summer nights, when we'd sneak out to watch the stars, dreaming aloud about a future filled with endless possibilities. She used to say, "We'll be together forever." I believed her. I still want to believe that somewhere, beneath all the hurt and betrayal, there was truth in those words. But promises are fragile things, easily broken by time and temptation. I think about the years that followed, the small cracks I ignored, the late nights she said were work, the phone calls she hid from me. I chose to trust her, to see only what I wanted to see. Was that foolish? Maybe. But love isn't supposed to be easy, it's supposed to be worth the risk. Now, the silence between us is deafening. The space once filled with shared dreams and whispered plans feels cold and empty. I can't help but wonder if the forever she promised was ever meant for me, or just a comforting lie to keep us both going. But I won't drown in regret. Not yet. I owe it to myself, to the boy I was who believed in us, to find a way forward. To reclaim the pieces of my life scattered by betrayal. To learn how to stand alone without crumbling. Because sometimes, growth comes from the sharpest pain. And maybe, just maybe, this ending is the beginning of something new. Chapter 3, Tension in a Shared Space. The apartment feels different now, quieter, heavier. The walls, once full of laughter and the easy rhythm of our shared life, seem to press in on me. I walk into the kitchen and notice her phone buzzing silently on the counter, screen glowing with messages I'm not meant to see. The glow casts an eerie light on the tiled floor, a silent reminder that something else is happening here, something I'm not part of. She's sitting on the couch, curled into herself, scrolling through her phone like it's a lifeline. I want to ask who she's texting, but the words get caught in my throat. Every question feels like a grenade that could blow up the fragile calm we pretend to keep. Instead, I nod toward the phone and say, "Got another message?" Her eyes flick up, sharp and guarded. "Just work stuff," she replies quickly, voice tight. The way she avoids my gaze stings more than any outright lie. The space between us isn't just physical anymore, it's the silence in the middle of the room, the unsaid accusations hanging like smoke. I remember how we used to sit here, talking about everything and nothing, planning trips and dreaming about the future. Now, it's like we're strangers sharing a roof. That night, the air felt colder than usual. She's restless, pacing the living room, and every time her phone buzzes, I see that flicker of hesitation in her eyes. I want to scream, to demand the truth, but instead I swallow my frustration and retreat to the bedroom. Closing the door feels like putting a barrier between the world outside and the storm raging inside me. I lie awake, replaying moments, her laugh, the way her hand fits in mine, and contrasting them with the silent tension of tonight. The house is full of ghosts, and I'm left wondering if any part of what we had is still real. Chapter 4, Clash at a Key Event. I still remember the moment I saw him across the room, her first love, Michael, the ghost from a past I thought was buried deep beneath the rubble of our marriage. The wedding hall was packed, glowing with golden fairy lights and the hum of celebration. I could feel the weight of every smile, every glass raised, but for me, the atmosphere was suffocating, thick with unspoken words and invisible knives. She stood near the entrance, radiant in a dress that was too elegant for the occasion, or maybe too carefully chosen. She caught my eye for a second, the ghost of a smile flickering before it vanished. Then her gaze slid past me, right to him. Michael. He was leaning casually against a pillar, a smug grin that reminded me too much of the night she kissed him, our anniversary night, that had shattered everything. I clenched my fists, the rage bubbling just beneath the surface, but I forced myself to breathe. This wasn't just about anger anymore, it was about claiming the part of me that she thought she could break. At the reception, I found myself sharing a table with them. The three of us, trapped in this thin slice of time that stretched out like a battlefield. Her laugh, that same laugh I used to know as mine, but now only his, floated through the air. Michael's eyes gleamed every time they met hers, and my heart twisted into a knot. "I didn't think you'd come," she said, her voice careful, almost taunting. "I didn't think you'd want me here," I shot back, trying to keep my voice steady. Michael raised an eyebrow, his smile growing sharper. "Surprised to see you two still talking," he said, his words a subtle jab. Her eyes flicked between us, and I saw that flicker of hesitation, the moment she realized I wasn't the same man she left behind. Later, outside on the terrace, the cold air hit me like a slap. She followed, desperation seeping into her steps. "This isn't what you think," she said, voice low. But I wasn't listening anymore. "You kissed him. On our anniversary. Do you understand what that means?" I asked, pain laced in every word. She looked away, silent. I took a deep breath and let the final piece fall into place. "I'm done standing in the shadow of your mistakes. I'm walking away, from this, from you." The truth was raw and freeing. And for the first time in months, I felt like I was finally fighting for myself. Chapter 5, Public Confrontation. The night air was cool, carrying the faint hum of laughter and clinking glasses from the garden party beyond the French doors. I stood near the edge of the room, gripping my glass a little too tightly, feeling the warmth of the amber liquid seep through my fingers but doing nothing to quell the fire in my chest. She appeared then, like she always did when she wanted to make sure all eyes were on her. My wife who had kissed another man on our anniversary, floated into the room with that half-smile, the one that used to mean something soft, something safe. Now it was just a mask. "Surprised to see me here." Her voice was loud enough for the nearby guests to hear, dripping with that irritating mix of defiance and entitlement. I met her gaze without flinching. "Of course I'm here. It's a mutual friend's party." She laughed, that sharp sound that cut through the murmur like broken glass. "Well, since we're all here, maybe I should clear the air." The room shifted, conversations halted mid-sentence, eyes sliding toward us like spectators waiting for a fight. She crossed the room and planted herself squarely in front of me. "You think what I did was wrong. But you don't get to dictate my happiness." Her eyes blazed, the way they did when she was trying to convince herself as much as me. I swallowed the lump in my throat. "It was our happiness you broke. Not just yours." She shrugged, like it was nothing. "That kiss? It wasn't meant to hurt you. It was the truth I needed to face. I needed to know if I was still the woman I was before we got tangled up in this life together." The room grew heavy with awkward silence, some guests exchanging glances, others looking down at their drinks. I could feel the weight of their judgment, pity for me, maybe, or quiet agreement with her. Do you expect me to just stand here and applaud you for throwing everything away? I said, voice low but steady. Her laugh was bitter. I expect you to understand that I can't be the woman you want anymore. Not when I'm still holding on to the past. That's not your decision to make alone. My words were sharper now, fueled by the humiliation and the sting of her betrayal. We were supposed to be partners. Instead, you chose him. She looked around, daring anyone to challenge her. Maybe I did. Maybe I'm finally being honest. I stepped closer, narrowing the space between us. You're honest when it suits you. When it's convenient. But what about the promises you made to me? To us? She met my gaze, cold and unyielding. Promises made in the past don't have to chain me forever. A friend I hadn't noticed before, Lucas, my closest ally since this all started, sidled up beside me, his expression a mix of sympathy and anger. He placed a firm hand on my shoulder. Emma, Lucas said quietly, you don't have to listen to her nonsense. You're stronger than this. Her eyes flicked to him, disdainful. And who are you to tell me how to live? I'm someone who sees the truth, Lucas replied, voice low but firm. I exhaled, steadying myself. This isn't just about you or me anymore. It's about what happens next. And I'm done living in the shadow of what we were. Her lips twitched, as if to say something cutting, but she bit it back. Instead, she turned on her heel and disappeared into the crowd, leaving a trail of whispers and heavy eyes behind her. I stood there, heart pounding, the room spinning around me. This was my moment, the moment I drew the line in the sand. No more lies. No more pretending. I was done. Chapter 6, Attempted Reconciliation. The phone buzzes on the bedside table, the screen lighting up with her name, Sarah. My heart clenches, a mix of hope and dread twisting inside me. It's late. I hesitate, thumb hovering over the answer button. Part of me wants to hear what she has to say, another part wants to shut it all out forever. I swipe to pick up. Hey, her voice is soft, tentative, like she's stepping on glass. Sarah, I say, keeping my tone steady, careful not to sound desperate. I wanted to call, she starts, then sighs. I know I messed everything up. The kiss, the timing. It was stupid. Her words hang between us, heavy but somehow hollow. There's no urgency in her voice, no real sorrow, just an attempt at damage control. I don't expect you to forgive me, she continues, but I want you to understand why. It wasn't about you. I was confused, overwhelmed by everything. Seeing him again brought back things I thought I'd buried. Things you thought you buried, I repeat bitterly. On our anniversary. There's a pause. Then she says, I wasn't thinking straight. Maybe I wanted to feel something real again, something from before all the fights, before we drifted. Her confession doesn't heal. It stings. It's about her, not us. Did you ever think about how it made me feel? I ask, voice barely above a whisper. Or was this just your way to cope? I'm sorry, she says again, but it feels automatic. I never wanted to hurt you. I want to believe her. I want to hear the apology that means something, the one that acknowledges my pain fully. But it's not there. Sarah, I say finally, I've been holding on to us, to what we had, but you've made it clear that your path isn't with me anymore. Silence. Then, can we, at least try to talk in person? Maybe find a way forward? I shake my head, even though she can't see me. No, I say quietly. I need to find my own way first. I can't keep walking this road with you if you're not truly beside me. She breathes out a soft, broken sound. I understand. The line goes dead. I stare at the dark phone screen, heart pounding. It hurts. But beneath the pain, something else stirs, a steady flame of clarity, of resolve. This is my time now. Chapter 7, Public Revelation. The moment I saw the message thread lighting up on my phone, a cold wave crashed over me. They knew. Everyone knew. Not just the circle we trusted, friends, family, even distant acquaintances. The secret I thought was locked behind our front door was now a headline whispered in every corner. Scrolling through the flood of texts and social media posts felt like reading my own obituary. Did you hear what she did on their anniversary? One friend wrote, the words dripping with disbelief. Another commented, I always thought something was off. The murmurs weren't just gossip, they were verdicts, sentencing me to shame I hadn't signed up for. Walking into the cafe that afternoon, I caught snippets of conversations, not just whispers but full-blown speculations. He must have been blind, someone said behind me. Another sneered, she's free now, finally. Every word was a blade, and I was bleeding in plain sight. Worse still was watching her, sitting across the room in that smug half-smile, deflecting questions with rehearsed ease. She wasn't the same woman I thought I knew. Her eyes flickered with a mix of defiance and regret that twisted into something I couldn't place. Had she expected this? Thrived in it? Or was she just as trapped in this social battlefield? I confronted her once, voice tight and shaking, "Do you even care what this does to me? To us?" She shrugged, cold. "Maybe I do. But maybe I care more about being honest, for the first time in years." That hit harder than any betrayal. In the days that followed, I felt like a ghost in my own life. Invitations stopped coming. Calls went unanswered. People I considered close sided with her or slipped away, unwilling to take my part. Isolation crept in, but beneath it simmered something fierce, an ember refusing to die. I wasn't just losing a marriage, I was losing control of my narrative. But I wouldn't let this be the end of my story. No matter how loudly the world judged, I'd reclaim my voice. Because this public revelation wasn't a tombstone, it was a turning point. Chapter 8, Breaking Free. The moving boxes are stacked unevenly in the corner of my new apartment, some still half-packed from a hurried last night at the old place. The walls are bare, the air smells foreign, not a trace of her here. No pictures, no memories trapped in frames. Just me. Just this cold, quiet space that suddenly feels both terrifying and promising. I stare at the lock on the front door of our old house, the one I just changed. My hand hesitates before I twist the key and hear the final click. That sound, a simple lock, feels like the end of a chapter one didn't want to close but had no choice. Every heartbeat echoes with the weight of what I'm leaving behind. The laughter that once filled these rooms, the whispered promises, the dreams we spun together, they all seem like ghosts now, fading faster with each turn of the key. Packing was harder than I thought. I found her favorite coffee mug, cracked at the rim, but she refused to throw it away. I packed it anyway. A part of me wanted to keep every little thing as proof that we existed, that love was real. But I also knew keeping it would chain me to memories better left untouched. I folded our old photos carefully, sliding them into a box labeled Past. As if labeling could tame the flood of feelings inside me. Lucas stopped by yesterday. His steady presence was a balm. When I told him I was moving out, he didn't try to sugarcoat it. "You're not just leaving a place, man. You're reclaiming your life." I nodded, not trusting my voice. It felt surreal, like stepping off a cliff with no idea if the ground below would catch me. The apartment is smaller, less cozy, but it's mine. For the first time in months, I woke up without the crushing weight of what happened on our anniversary night. No guilt, no rage, just a strange quietness that I'm learning to appreciate. I've been thinking about the divorce papers sitting on my desk, unsigned but waiting. Signing them feels like a death sentence and a new birth all at once. I know it's the right step, but I can't help wondering if there's any part of her left to save, or if I'm just salvaging myself. At night, I pull out my old sketchpad, something I abandoned years ago. Drawing calms the storm inside me. Tonight, I start a new page, not filled with her face but with shapes and colors that feel like freedom. I'm scared. I'm lonely. But I'm also beginning to hope. This isn't just breaking away from her, it's breaking free of the shadows she left on my soul. And for the first time in a long time, I believe I can breathe again. Chapter 9, New Horizons. The first night in my new apartment is both quiet and deafening. No familiar creak in the floorboards, no soft hum of the old heater, the silence is so thick it presses against my ears. I stare at the blank walls, a blank slate. For the first time in months, I'm not haunted by the echoes of what she did, what we lost. Instead, space feels like a possibility. Work's been my anchor these days. I threw myself into the project I'd shelved long ago, something I always dreamed of doing but never found the time for. The late nights coding, the small victories when lines of script finally run clean, it's a different kind of high. One that doesn't come with heartache or bitterness, just progress. I caught up with Lucas last week. He's been a steady reminder of the life I still have, the friendships that don't fracture when things get hard. Over coffee, he joked about my obsession with spreadsheets and deadlines, but beneath the teasing was genuine support. "You're building something real, man," he said. "Not like the fairy tale that crashed and burned." Sometimes I scroll through social media, catching glimpses of her life. Photos of her smiling at parties, the occasional tagged post with her first love. It stings, sure, but I don't let it consume me. I remind myself those pictures are just snapshots, not the whole story. Behind every smile could be regret, confusion, or loneliness I'll never see. Yesterday, I joined a local gym. The rhythmic pounding of my feet against the treadmill feels almost cathartic, like I'm running away from the past but also towards something better. I don't have all the answers yet. Hell, I'm still raw in places I didn't know could hurt. But I'm learning to be okay with that. To embrace the uncertainty. My phone buzzes, another message from her, carefully phrased, full of apologies and wistful regrets. I don't respond. Not yet. Not until I know what I want, and who I am without her shadow looming over me. For now, I'm chasing a different kind of freedom. Not the kind you dream about as a kid, or the kind you think comes from another person. This is mine. And maybe, just maybe, it's enough. Chapter 10, Unexpected Encounter. It was a gray afternoon when I first saw him again, like a ghost from a past I was still trying to forget. The city's cafe where I went to escape the noise of my own thoughts was crowded, but somehow, there he was, sitting alone at the corner table, the same man who had shattered what little trust one had left. My heart twisted as I caught his familiar profile, tall, composed, that half-smirk that always made me question everything. He hadn't seen me yet, or maybe he had, but he didn't move. I could have walked away. I almost did. But something kept me rooted. "Hey," I said, sliding into the seat across from him before I could second-guess myself. He looked up, eyes calm but guarded. "Didn't expect to see you here." Neither did I. We sat in silence for a moment. The noise of clinking cups and murmured conversations filled the space between us. "I guess we have a lot to talk about," I said, my voice rough from the years I'd swallowed. He nodded, gaze steady. "Yeah. I owe you that much." I wanted to lash out, accuse him of stealing my life, my marriage, my peace. But something about the way he looked, worn, maybe remorseful, made me hesitate. "Why?" I finally asked. "Why her? Why the anniversary?" He sighed. "It wasn't supposed to happen like that. She came to me, confused, lost. We didn't plan it, I swear. It just happened." His honesty was a bitter pill. I felt my hands clench into fists beneath the table. "And what? You think that excuses it?" "No," he said quietly. "I'm not asking for forgiveness. Just, for you to know it wasn't some calculated move." His words stirred a storm in me, resentment, pain, but also a strange flicker of understanding. The woman I loved had her own battles, and maybe he was part of a broken story bigger than my own anger. I looked away, swallowing hard. "I'm done chasing what's lost. But hearing you say this, it changes nothing, yet somehow makes it all heavier." He nodded, standing up. "I hope you find peace. You deserve that much." And just like that, he was gone, leaving me alone with my tangled thoughts and a heart inching toward closure. Chapter 11, Shifting Priorities. The phone buzzes again, this time, it's not her, but a message from my sister. She's telling everyone she's changed. "I want you back. Just thought you should know." I stare at the screen, a mix of irritation and something deeper, an old ache, almost a reflex to question myself. But I don't reply. I don't have to. This is the noise that used to drown out my better judgment, the tangled web of emotions I swore I'd leave behind. In the days since I moved out, the whispers have followed me like shadows. Mutual friends hesitant around me, glances that weigh heavier than words. And I know it's her, pulling strings, trying to rewrite the narrative, casting herself as the remorseful lover, me as the unreasonable fool. At first, it rattled me. I wondered, not for the first time, if I'm being too harsh. Maybe there's a chance, just a sliver, that we could rebuild what we lost. But every time I replay the memory of that night, the kiss on our anniversary, the truth bites harder than any apology could soothe. I meet Lucas for coffee, my closest anchor through this storm. He listens without interruption as I spill the latest updates. "She's playing the sympathy card," I say, shaking my head. "But I'm not the guy who's going to fall for it again." Lucas nods, eyes steady. "You're right. You've got your own life to build, man. Let her have her regrets." It's easier said than done, but I know he's right. My focus has to shift, from her, from what we were, to what I want to become. Later that evening, my phone rings. It's her. The name flashing on the screen feels like a test I don't want to take. My thumb hovers over the answer button, but I let it slip to voicemail. Please, her voice cracks on the message, can we talk? I'm different now. I want to fix this. I listen once, then delete it. I'm done rewriting the past for someone who chose to erase it first. From here on, my priority is me, my healing, my future, my peace. No more distractions. No more detours. The path ahead is mine to choose. And for the first time in a long time, I'm ready to walk it alone. Chapter 12, A New Community. The small cafe buzzes softly with late afternoon chatter, warm light filtering through rain-speckled windows. I slide into a worn leather armchair beside the fireplace, the familiar scent of coffee and aged wood oddly comforting. Around me, faces lift from steaming mugs, some tentative, some hopeful. It's been weeks since I first walked into this circle, unsure if I'd find anything more than polite smiles. Now, I belong here. This community, fragile but fiercely real, is nothing like the cold silences that filled my house when she was still there. No whispered betrayals, no biting regrets masked as apologies. Here, people carry their scars openly, the way I do now, without shame or pretense. Linda, who lost her partner last year, shares stories that mirror my own broken promises. Marcus cracks a joke about the absurdity of starting over at 40, and for a moment, I laugh so hard my chest aches. These aren't just acquaintances, they're reminders that pain isn't the end. It's the beginning. For the first time since the kiss, the one that shattered everything, I feel the weight inside me ease. The memories don't sting as sharply because they're no longer anchors dragging me down. I'm learning to swim, to breathe again. When I glance around, I don't see the shadow of her or that man from her past. Their absence isn't just physical, it's emotional liberation. The past still lingers like a distant echo, but it no longer defines me. Here, surrounded by strangers turned friends, I'm reclaiming who I am. As the evening fades, a few of us linger by the door, reluctant to leave this fragile sanctuary. Olivia, the woman I met months ago at the art class, offers a gentle smile. You're stronger than you know, she says softly. And for once, I believe her. Walking home in the cool night air, I catch my reflection in a shop window, a man broken but not defeated. The road ahead isn't clear, but it's mine to walk. And now, I'm not walking it alone. Chapter 13, Fresh Start. I never thought a simple email could feel like a lifeline, but there it was, the job offer I'd been waiting for. A role that promised not just a paycheck, but a chance to rebuild myself on my own terms. No shadows from my past, no haunting anniversaries. Just me, a blank slate, and a city full of possibilities. The office space was bright, open, buzzing with a quiet energy that felt nothing like the stifling air of our old home. As I walked through the glass doors on my first day, I felt a strange mix of nerves and excitement, the kind you get when you're finally stepping into the light after being lost in the dark for too long. At lunch, I met Maya. She's new here too, sharp and unpretentious, with a laugh that fills the room without demanding attention. We talked about everything, work, dreams, the kind of freedom I'd almost forgotten existed. There was no judgment in her eyes, only understanding and a quiet encouragement I didn't realize I needed. Then, just when I thought I could finally exhale, my phone buzzed with a message from her. My ex, can we talk? I've made mistakes. I regret everything. For a split second, the old hurt threatened to pull me under. But I didn't reply. Instead, I glanced around the bustling cafe, the hum of life carrying me forward. I've lost a lot, but I haven't lost myself. Not anymore. This is my fresh start. My chapter 13. And for the first time in a long time, I'm ready to write it myself. Chapter 14, Reflection and Optimism. It's quiet in my new apartment tonight. No anniversary reminders, no whispered lies hanging in the air, just the steady hum of the city outside my window and the soft glow of the street lamps. I sit on the worn leather couch, a glass of whiskey untouched on the table beside me, and I finally let myself breathe. Looking back, it feels like I'm watching someone else's life unfold, the naive man who believed in forever, who trusted without question, who thought love was enough to hold us together. I remember the way her lips met his on that night, the betrayal searing through me like a brand, and how I stood there frozen, heart shattered in a place I didn't know could break so thoroughly. But that man, the one who lived in the past, he's gone. I've shed him like an old skin, raw but renewed underneath. I think about all the nights I spent replaying every moment, torturing myself with what ifs and why me. I thought I'd be lost forever in that grief. But grief is a strange thing, it carves out a space inside you, yes, but it also clears the ground for something new to grow. Now, I see that space filled with possibility. It's filled with me, and for the first time in years, that feels enough. I've built a life on my own terms. I've reconnected with friends who never judged, who lifted me instead of dragging me down. I've taken chances I was too afraid to take before. A promotion at work, a trip to that art exhibit I always wanted to see, even a first date that felt light and easy, not weighted with doubt or history. Her regrets? I know they exist because I hear about them through whispers, through social media posts dripping with nostalgia and remorse. But her regrets are hers to carry, not mine. I refuse to let her sorrow anchor me to a past that nearly drowned me. Tonight, I let the past settle into a quiet corner of my mind, no longer a tempest but a memory. And as I look out into the night, I don't feel anger or bitterness anymore. I feel something better, hope. Hope that I am more than my heartbreak. That I am stronger, wiser, and ready to write a new story, one where I am the hero, not the victim. I raise my glass, not to the love lost, but to the future found. Here's to me, broken but unbroken, wounded but healing, hurt but hopeful. And this time, I'm the one in control of my story.